welcome to another episode of the Terror Talks. I'm your host, Jeremy, and today we are here on episode 43, where we are giving you a double haunt review. That's right, we're not just giving you a haunt review for one attraction, but we are giving you two. So as you may recall, in several of our earlier episodes this season, we visited several houses across North Georgia, and we reviewed them. We did them all in one night, and it was a big hodgepodge of haunted houses. Well, we also did the same thing in South Carolina. So we visited several haunted houses all across South Carolina, and we did 4 of them in one night on October 2nd, to be exact. But we were able to go through 4 different haunted attractions, all ranging in levels of interestingness and not so interestingness. So the 2 that we're going to be talking about today are Screamacres Haunted Attraction and Kreepy Hollow Haunted Attraction. The reason that we have paired these 2 together on this episode is, one, we have a lot of ground to cover in terms of haunt reviews, and to do several different episodes and do individual episodes is just too much for us, so we figured we'll just cram it all into one episode, cover everything that we can. And honestly, our thoughts on both of these haunts are probably not what you'd expect. So because of that, we're able to talk pretty swiftly and quickly about these haunts. So we're just going to dive right in, and we're going to start off with Screamacres Haunted House and Hayride. On Friday, September 17th, Screamacres opened their doors to their first unsuspecting victims for the 2021 haunt season, which would feature 2 attractions, a haunted house and a haunted hayride, with a haunted trail portion. So they sort of advertised the trail as a separate portion, and they say like they have 2 haunted houses, and like they're stretching a little bit already with the things that they've put on their website. And so because of that, we're already a little skeptical, and we've already been through it. So yeah, it's a bit of a stretch. Screamacres Haunted House and Hayride, LLC, has been in operation for more than 13 years as one of South Carolina's top-rated haunted attractions, and in 2008 we were honored to be added to Haunted Attraction Magazine Top 25 Must-See Haunts. Our main goal is to give back to our local community as much as possible. We strive to make our attraction as entertaining and to keep our patrons coming back for more. Year after year, we at Screamacres try to improve our haunt. Things are always changing. Have you found it yet? So this was our first year attending this attraction, and if we're honest, which we strive to be with every episode, this attraction was a major letdown for us. And, it had some redeeming moments, but not a lot. They were very, very few and far between. So why was this attraction such a letdown? Why did we feel leaving less than satisfied? Was it the staff that made our experience so miserable, or the attraction itself? Well, there's only one way to find out. Let's get to the bottom of it as we unravel Screamacres Haunted House and Hayride. So as many of you know from our previous episodes, this year's haunt reviews, we are breaking them down into various categories so that we can give an unbiased opinion of each of the houses. So we are rating each category based on sets, costumes and makeup, scares, pacing, technical effects, and actors. And we will rate them on a scale of 1 to 5 and get the average of the scores to give you our overall rating of this haunted attraction. Now, of course, with Screamacres, we have a haunted house and a haunted hayride, so we are going to be judging both. So let's just get into it. So when you first arrive at the attraction, you can be very excited. You see this giant parking lot with cars just littered amongst the yard. It truly is a sight to behold because there's a lot of people there. It was very tough for us to find a good parking space because, there were so many people there. And it looks like it's going to be a fun time. It looks like this really fun place to be, and when you hear about it from other people, you think this is going to be really great. And so we were very excited about this, especially given the fact that when we came up this way last year, we didn't get to experience this attraction. We didn't get to see what it had in store for us. And so, unfortunately for us, that was the raw hand we were dealt. And so, this was the first time we would get to experience it, was on this night. But after going through both attractions, we left very disappointed. We were not satisfied with our trip. We did not feel that the hunt lived up to the hype. And, as we always say, maybe it's because we had a bad night. Maybe it's a bad run. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind it. But like I always say, we judge these haunts based on the first initial run that we get through it. So if it's not good, that's what we're judging it on. We can't go through these haunts 7 or 8 times each to see, oh, well, what did we think of it? Was it, and, kind of see if maybe something was different this time that wasn't the same another time. We can't do that. So we only get to go through that initial time. And so that initial time, they got to make or break. And unfortunately, it was broken with Screammakers. It was not a great experience. Just things did not work the way that they probably should have. And, there's just a lot of little things that we're going to point out about it that made this trip not so fun for us. And, honestly, it kind of felt like we wasted our money going here because it just was not what we expected at all. So let's start off with these sets. So for the house, we did give the sets a 5 out of 5. And then for the trail, we gave it a 4 out of 5. So that's a 4.5 out of 5 screams total. So the sets in the attraction were actually pretty good. They weren't anything crazy or to go home about, nothing that we're ranting and raving for. But they were actually pretty good, and especially in the house. Like, the detail work was there. You could actually tell as you went through it. It felt like you were inside somebody's house and going into, like, the different areas of the house. And I thought that was done very, very well. It gave an eerie effect as you went through it. It was very impressive. It felt like an old farmhouse. Now, the Hayride was not necessarily of the same caliber, meaning it was lesser. And, there were several sets that you and your trailer would ride through, and some were impressive and some were not so impressive. And it just depended on which set you were going through and at what point. But that's why we ended up docking it a point, just because, some of it was pretty average. And that's always very, very disappointing. And I just feel like they could have done a lot more, especially with certain parts of the walking portion of the Hayride. There were some sets in there you actually went through a building, and that was kind of just not as good as it should have been. But then there were other parts that were actually pretty good too, and I do definitely remember there was a moment where you actually went upstairs, and I was actually really shocked that we were going upstairs in a haunt, because you rarely see that. You rarely walk upstairs. It's a rarity, and for this one, that was pretty cool. Overall, though, the sets were very nice. They scored 4.5 out of 5 screams, so they definitely weren't the worst thing in this place. So that's good. They got that going for them. Then we have the costumes, makeup, and special effects. So for the house, we gave them a 1 out of 5, and a trail, we gave them a 2 out of 5, or the Hayride, trail, Hayride, however you want to call it. And so that's a total of 1.5 out of 5 screams. So honestly, throughout this attraction, whether it be in the house or on the Hayride, the costumes just weren't there. The makeup just wasn't there. There was nothing impressive about any of it to me. In fact, all of the costumes that they were wearing looked like they were pulled off of the Walmart shelf and thrown on their face, and it was like, all right, go for it. And that's all you got. And to me, I feel like that's just a lazy way of doing a haunted attraction. The idea should be take this costume or this set piece and see how you make it an original set piece. See how you turn it into something more than what it is. That should be the goal. And unfortunately, that was not necessarily the goal here, or at least it did not appear to be the goal. And so that was very, very disappointing to see that it was basically lazy haunting. And then in terms of the makeup, And, that was the same thing. The makeup was not anything to go on about. It was nothing impressive. It was pretty blank makeup. Just some cheap face paint. I could have bought it at Walmart or whatever and done the same exact thing. So it just was not very good for me. I definitely have seen a lot better at the different attractions that I've visited this year, and this one doesn't even, level with these other ones. So, on the whole, not impressive. Not impressive at all. Then we have the technical effects. And so in the haunted house, we gave them a 3 out of 5, and on the hayride, we gave them a 2 out of 5, giving a total of 2.5 out of 5 screams. So the technical effects in the house actually played very well with creating this creepy ambiance, this eerie ambiance, making you feel as though you were in a place that you probably ought not to be. Lighting inside the area was done the same way and really helped, as well as the audio and all that fun. Like, everything played together very, very nicely and made you feel uneasy, made you feel like you shouldn't be there. And that was good. I thought that was very neat. But then there just wasn't a whole lot being done. Like, I don't remember really seeing any fog in the house. Like, that was not used at all. I think the only thing I really saw was lighting and sound, and the sound is a bit of a stretch too, because I don't think there was that much sound really going on. So that's why the house got 3 out of 5. And then on the hayride, it was the same story. So they had good lighting and audio out there, and they were using them in unique places. But the problem is, none of the audio that they used had any bearing on the experience at all. In fact, they were playing 2000 pop music. It was not scary. It was not frightening, and in my opinion, did not really fit with the overall aesthetic. I feel like in a haunted house, you should have like some grunge, some hard rock. Now, that being said, I'm not necessarily a grunge, metal, hard rock junkie. I don't listen to that music on the regular. But for a haunted attraction, I feel like that's the type of thing you should have. Either that or some actual scary music. Not, bubblegum pop, so to speak. I just felt like that was not done very well and really took away from the aesthetic. So unfortunately, technical effects got a 2.5 out of 5 screams. Up next, we have the scares, and they both missed the mark on this. In fact, it's kind of a miracle I even gave them a 1 out of 5, and that's because I will not give a 0 out of 5 to anybody. I'm just a little too nice. But the houses got a 1 out of 5, and the trail got a 1 out of 5. And so that's a 1 out of 5 screams. So this aspect was not, neither aspect of this attraction was scary at all. The house was not scary, and the hayride was not scary. Nothing jumped out at us. Nothing scared us, made us scream. In fact, it didn't even make the people around us really scream. It honestly seemed kind of pathetic to us, because you weren't getting scared. You were not afraid for your life. And that's sort of the joy of a haunted house, is you want to feel like you are in some actual imminent danger. Like something is going to happen to you if you don't get out of there at that moment. You didn't feel like that. I felt like I was taking a little stroll on a damn hayride and got to rest my feet for a little while. That's what I felt like. I was very, very disappointed. And unfortunately, in both aspects of the house and the hayride, the tactics that were used for scaring were not effective, and they were not creative. Inside the house, the only way people seemed to try to scare us was by screaming in our ear piercingly, right in our ear. Like, I have never seen a more detrimental lack of effort. Now, maybe, and I talk about this a little bit later too, it could have been that there was a small child in our group who was crying throughout the haunt, and maybe that had something to do with it, but I don't know. I mean, just something about it seemed off inside the haunt, because there was just no scares at all, and I should have jumped at least once, and I didn't even get that. And then on the trail, same thing. In fact, when we did the walking portion, so you had the hayride where you rode, and then you had the walking portion. On the walking portion, there wasn't even anybody out there jumping out at you. We were all walking through the trail portion, laughing, having a good time. Never encountered anything remotely scary. Went through what they dub as their second haunted house, and I do put that in quotes, big time. And there was nobody in there. Absolutely no one. It was very disappointing, and just there was no jumping, no scaring. And I'm just like, how in the hell can you call yourself a haunted house, a scare house, if you are going to not scare anybody? I'm sorry, but that defeats the whole purpose. So this was very, very disappointing. And honestly, the scariest thing about this was the little bubblegum pop music or whatever that played at one point of the hayride. That was the scariest thing, in all honesty. And that will live on in my nightmares forever. But there was absolutely nothing scary about this haunt at all. And it really goes to show that I think Scream Makers might just be a little overrated. So up next we have pacing, and for the house we gave them a 1 out of 5. For the trail we gave them a 3 out of 5, leading to a total of 2 out of 5 screams. So the pacing of the house sucked. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I never do. The pacing of the house absolutely sucked. We were in and out of the house in probably about 5 minutes. It was the absolute shortest walking haunted house that I have ever in my life experienced. Ever. And that's saying something. And, you know, I get it. Maybe they don't have a whole lot of space to do things. But it should not be as short as it was. It should not be 5 minutes to walk through a house. I'm sorry. But that is literally gypping people of their money. And if you're going to charge people $20 or $30 for a speed pass, $20 for regular people, you know, you are seriously screwing them on that, because you get absolutely nothing out of that. You walk in, you walk through a couple rooms, and you're out before you even know it. And on top of that, you're not even getting scared in there like we talked about in the scare section. You're not even getting a good scare. So why am I wasting my money to come through a house that is 5 minutes long? Well, I know what you're thinking. Maybe the hayride will make up for that. Maybe it's more worth it. Well, yes, you'd be correct. The hayride is longer. But the pacing is so screwed up on that hayride that you basically lose interest very, very quickly. Because what you do for a good portion of that hayride is ride around in the dark on a trailer. That's it. Nothing else. Not until you come to the first set. And you don't come to the first set until probably 5 minutes into the hayride, which is way too long. We sat there riding around in the dark for 5 minutes. Even past little mini sets along the way. But did anything happen at those? Nope. Not a damn thing. It was disappointing. And maybe I'm beating a dead horse here, and maybe some people don't want to hear me beat a dead horse, but it's my job as a haunt reviewer to review the haunt. This was the experience that I had. And I asked other people on the thing with me, and they were not any more impressed either. They felt just as ripped off as I did, and honestly, that is not okay. Not if you're going to be taking people's money. This was a big disappointment. You lose interest before you even get to a point where you can possibly even begin to gain interest. And once your interest is maybe a little bit peaked again, you lose it again. Because there's so much dead space and the pacing just doesn't work. So yeah, unfortunately, all this felt like was a big flop and a way to rest your feet. So pacing got a 2 out of 5. Finally, we have actors and team, and for the house, I gave them a 2 out of 5, and for the trail, I gave them a 1 out of 5, leading to a total of 1.5 out of 5 screams. So the actors in this house did not do a whole lot of anything except scream in my ear the whole time. That was it. And like I said, there was a small child in our group who was crying the entire time. And I gotta hop on the soapbox here for a minute. Parents, if you know that your child cannot handle a haunted house, then please do not bring them. Because what happens is people who can handle a haunted house get caught in a group with that kid. And your kid is sitting there screaming bloody murder. And then you end up running into actors like what we ran into who try to baby them. And go, oh, no, it's okay, little buddy. Look, I work in a preschool. I get it. I love kids. Like, they are the best thing in the world. They are sweet. You know, the world cannot go on spinning without them because they are great. And they are the future. But for the love of God, do not bring them to a haunted house if you know they are going to show out. If you even have the slightest sliver of a inkling that they might show out in the haunted house, go with your gut. Do not bring them. You know, I get it. Some kids are super brave, think that they can do it. But you need to find some way to prove that theory before you bring them through. Because then you get caught in a situation like what I was caught in, where I just sort of stood there watching these actors not do anything because a kid was crying. And to me, in my opinion, and maybe this is a little harsh, maybe, I hope I don't lose viewers or listeners over this, but this is my personal opinion. If you are letting your child come in there knowingly, what is going to happen? Knowing they're going to get scared, and they do start crying, and they decide they can't handle it, I don't think the actors should back down. I think they should keep going, because they're getting paid to scare you. You are paying to be scared. If little Timmy can't handle it, pick him up and tote him out, or ask for the nearest exit. But don't torture the rest of us by making us have to listen to that kid cry. And then not even get a lick of scared the rest of the time we're in there. Because that ruins it for everybody. So that is my soapbox about children. I know you all probably think I'm anti-children, but I really am not. People need to have the expectation of what's going to happen in a haunted house and understand that fully. That's the bottom line. And unfortunately, because of this issue, perhaps that's why the actors were not going full out. Perhaps that's why they were not giving us a good performance. And that's why, though, I had to rate them a 2 out of 5 in the house. Because, sure, they were screaming in my ear and giving that effort to scare me. But other than that, they were doing absolutely nothing to try. And so I was very, very disappointed. And then on the Haunted Hayride, I get on my soapbox again. So the Hayride had some flubs that we would actually experience later on that evening at the next attraction too. And that flub, my friends, is called breaking character. Breaking character. Oh, how I hate it when that happens. And what I hate even more is when I can see it happen, and it happens in front of a paying customer. I do not come to a haunted house to watch the people who are playing the role act like a normal human. I come to a haunted house for them to act like a psychopath and scare the crap out of me. But some people would much rather come to a haunted house and go say hi to their friends and play with their friends, which is what happened to us on the trail. And this was one of the big reasons that this got such a low score. There was an actor after one of the scenes. There were 2 scenes they did this in. There was one scene an actor came up and he sort of lifted his mask and said something to his friends. Broke character. I watched him do it while the scene was still going on, and he just sort of broke and talked to his friends real quick. Then we got another scene. Same thing happened again. Only this time, he takes off his mask, runs to catch up with the Hayride, and gets on and sits with his friends and rides back the rest of the way. What a ripoff. If you are going to be playing a role, I want to see you play that role. I do not want to see you hang out with your friends. That is not why I'm there. That is not why anybody is there. I'm sorry. That doesn't fly with me. It doesn't matter if you're getting paid or you're volunteering. You are assigned to a post at this attraction. You are given a job. When you're given that job, you are expected to maintain that job, not go and hang out with your friends. If you wanted to hang out with your friends, you shouldn't have taken the job. You shouldn't have volunteered, whatever the case may be. You should not do that. And that right there ruined it for me and made me lose any sliver of respect I had for the professionalism of this haunted attraction. I told the owner when I got there. So the owner knew who I was when I purchased my ticket. I said, I'm a haunt reviewer. I'll be coming through tonight. And she said, okay, well, I don't tell any of my actors when we have haunt reviewers coming through. Good, so I'll see how they really act. I love that, too. I love that they didn't know I was there. Because when this comes out, they're going to find out that I was there that night. And I hope that actor knows who he is. And I hope he feels bad about what he did. Because he should not have done that. No, you are on the job. You are on the clock. You don't get to hang out with your friends. I'm sorry. Same thing happened with another actor. He rode the thing with us with his mask and costume pieces sitting on the hayride with us, and he hitched a ride on the hayride to get taken out to his spot. He even made it a point to say, I'm not really supposed to do this. Oh, so you know what you're doing is wrong. Huh. But you're doing it anyways. What a shame. What a shame. The level of unprofessionalism that I witnessed was absolutely shameful. Shameful. So I was very disappointed in this. Very disappointed. So, that is the individual ratings for each section. Let's tally them up. So for sets, we have 4.5 out of 5. For costumes, makeup, and special effects, we have 1.5 out of 5. For technical effects, we have 2.5 out of 5. For scares, we have 1 out of 5. For pacing, we have 2 out of 5. And for actors and team, we have 1.5 out of 5. Leading to a grand total of, drumroll please, 2 out of 5 screams. So that is one of the lowest ratings we've had this season. And that's saying a lot. And, you know, some people are probably going to listen and think I was a little too harsh. But like I've said, I base it on my experience on that time that I'm there. And when I was there, this was the experience I had. I was not impressed with Screamakers. And I do not think they deserve the acclaim that they get. You know, I was really baffled to hear people say, some people say, that they've been coming here for years and like they keep coming back. Because after what I witnessed that night, I will not be back. Not a second time this year. I might go back next year to see if it changes at all. But that's it. That's all I can really afford to give them of my time. Because the professionalism was not there. The scares were not there. The pacing wasn't there. Everything about it felt like a big waste of time to me. That being said, if for whatever reason you feel like you want to go, you still can. There is still time. The haunt season is still going on, but you have very limited amounts now. They will be done for the season on Halloween, so you want to make sure you get out there as soon as possible if you are planning on going out there. You can purchase tickets. General admission is $20, and you'll get the house and the hayride. And then a fast pass for both is $30, and it gets you front-of-the-line access to both attractions. Like I said, Screenmakers will be open until October 31st, so that's Halloween. You can go follow their social media. They are on Facebook, Instagram, and then they have a website that you can go check out. You can go visit them. They are located at 1137 Old Camden Road, Bishopville, South Carolina. So be sure to go check out Screenmakers. Let us know if you had a similar experience. Let us know if you think we were too harsh a judge or if you think we were spot on with our judging. You know, we always want you guys to play along at home, and we want to hear your thoughts and feelings as well. So now we're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsor, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about Kreepy Hollow Haunted Attraction. Don't go anywhere. Hey there, Terror Talk fans. Are you looking for a new way to let your voice be heard? If so, check out our friends at Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for creating your very own podcast. They offer editing tools to create your podcast, which include your audio, listener audio, unique transitions, and custom advertisements. In addition, they'll also help you distribute your podcast to other listener sources, such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many others. With this unique app, you also have the chance to get paid for your podcast by simply placing ads for various sponsors in your videos. Best part of it all? It is 100% free. Anchor does all the work for you and makes podcasting as simple as turning on a light. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM. Whether you're new to podcasting, doing it as a hobby, or hosting a professional show, Anchor is the place for you. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, on episode 43 of the Terror Talks, where we are talking about Screenmakers Haunted Attraction and Kreepy Hollow Haunted Attraction. Before the break, we talked all about Screenmakers and gave you our fair and honest review on their haunted attraction, and we ended up topping out at an overall rating of 2 out of 5 screams for their attraction. Ouch! That one hurts. So now we're going to be talking all about Kreepy Hollow and giving you our honest thoughts, our honest opinions on their 2021 haunted attraction. This is a haunted attraction that we got to attend last year for the first time ever. And when we attended it, we really enjoyed it. We thought it was really cool, really unique. And so we figured, hey, we're in the area. We got to hit it again. Plus, Screenmakers and Kreepy Hollow are literally like 5 minutes from each other. You leave one, you're at the other one in no time at all. So we knew that this was one we had to review again and actually get our review out there this year. Because last year we sort of ran into a little bit of a speed bump. This year we're trying to play catch up a little bit and get as many episodes out. That's why we're doing this dual episode today, where you're getting 2 for the price of 1, and we're going to do that again with another 2 haunted houses. There's 2 other ones in South Carolina that we hit, and we're going to do an episode about them after this as well. So you're going to be getting everything, all of the rundown on all the houses. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get into Kreepy Hollow Haunted House. On Friday, September 17th, Kreepy Hollow opened their doors to their first unsuspecting victims for the 2021 haunt season, which would feature 3 attractions: a hellish bus ride, a 7,000-plus square foot haunted house, and a 2-mile hayride through the woods. There's a reason our bus ride is so well known. Come pick your poison with a choice of the Master's Bus Ride or roll the dice with the Mystery Bus Ride. Either way, this will be an experience you don't want to miss. You're in for the ride of your life. Good luck. You'll need it. The largest haunted house in South Carolina has many surprises inside. As soon as you step off the famous bus ride, you'll see the towering structure you have to make it through. It's truly a one-of-a-kind experience. You might want to turn back, but it'll be too late. You'll finish your evening off with a 2-mile ride to explore 7 deadly scenes. This was our first attraction and remains one of our fan favorites. No matter what you fear, you're likely to find it on our hayride. This is a hayride you don't want to miss. It may be your last. So as we said, this was our second year attending this attraction, having been excellently surprised last season. So we remember arriving, not really sure what to expect, and then we left overwhelmed with how much fun we had. It truly is a unique experience, a fun experience. So would we get this same experience this year? Would we scream on that bus ride from hell? Would we jump at all the creeps and creaks of the massive haunted house? Would we fall off the wagon on our haunted hayride through the darkness? All of this to come as we reveal Kreepy Hollow Haunted House. So as many of you know, and as you heard when we talked about Scream Acres, we have divided each of our haunts into a new rating system, which is called the Scream Scale. And so each haunted house is divided into 6 categories based on a scale of 1 to 5, and then we take the average of all 6 to get the overall rating. So with this haunted house, of course, there are 2 aspects. We're not going to do the bus ride because the bus ride is something unique that only they have. You're not going to find that with other haunts, so I don't really see a purpose in sort of calculating it in. But we do have the haunted house and the hayride, and so those will be factored in. We will take the scores of each of those, combine them together to get the score for that category, and then we'll take the average of all 6. And these categories are sets, costumes and makeup, technical effects, scares, pacing, and actors. So, let's not waste any more time, let's just get down to it. So when you arrive at Kreepy Hollow, you really sort of are a little bit like, what's going on here? Because you basically pull up in this giant field, and depending on what time you get there, you can get there when it is slam-packed full of people, or you can be there when it's not slam-packed full of people, when it's a little less crowded. This year, we happened to get there when this parking lot was booming. There were so many people out there. There was a line from the ticket window that, spanned back pretty far. The lines for the buses were zigzagging in and out. It was absolutely insane, the number of people that were there. And so we're like, oh, Lord. So we knew immediately that we were going to buy a speed pass. We did that last year as well. It honestly is just such a big sigh of relief when you get the speed pass because you get in everything really, really quick. You get it done, and it gives you time to go around and go do some more haunted houses around the area, which is what we did. So when we arrived there, we got in line, went ahead and got our speed pass, which really isn't that much more money, and I do think it's worth it. And so we were able to go ahead and get on the bus. So that's the thing. When you do arrive, though, all there is this little shack where the tickets are. There is nothing else. There's the shack and there's the lines for the buses. And you're probably left wondering, where is this haunted house? Where are we going? Well, that's why that bus is there. Because that bus is going to whisk you away on a bus ride from hell and take you to the haunted house and the hayride. Now, like I said, because the bus is such a unique aspect, we're not really going to rate it, but we are going to discuss it a little bit and kind of talk about it because it did, affect our experience in a way. And it is sort of like, it gives you a review of it. So, last year when we did the bus ride, we chose the Masters bus ride, which basically is the Masters of Horror, the horror icons, if you will. And it had Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger. It might have had a couple other ones. And they were sort of like, they would run down the aisle of the bus and they would climb out on the outside of the bus going by the window and whatnot. And I remember this bus had to be going like 50 miles per hour down this road. It was going really, really fast. And like that was part of the intensity. That was part of the thrill of it. Was this bus is going super fast. The lights are flashing inside the bus. The music is like really grungy type music. Like there was a remix of the Halloween theme that was really cool. And then you've got the monsters, the creatures, whatever you want to call them, the killers. And so that was a really unique aspect of it. And that was like so awesome. What a way to kick off your experience here. Well, this year we said, you know what, let's do the mystery bus this time. Because I wanted to know what we would get with the mystery bus. Because you're basically getting the roll of the dice. Whatever you get, and that's it. Good luck. Well, we did it. And what we got was a Purge bus ride. So, the bus kind of came to a stop, and you heard the big Purge siren, and there was a guy standing down in front of the bus. Like, it was real creepy. And they still sort of ran up the aisle, and the music was blaring and all that fun stuff. But the bus was going like 15, 20 miles per hour. It was going really slow. I don't know why that was. I don't know if maybe it was a safety thing. I don't really know. Because I remember the bus being so much more thrilling, and this year it was just kind of like, it's alright. So that was kind of disappointing. I was expecting a lot more. But there was one great thing that came out of the bus ride for me. And that was we met some really, really cool people on the bus ride. We did not expect to basically become friends with them. But now they are loyal followers of the channel. They've reached out to me several times. And I did tell them I would give them a shout out on this episode. So this is a shout out to Abby and Emma. Yes, I know. So I call them Abby Squared and Emma Squared, and their respected boyfriends that were with them as well. It's been so long already since we've been there, so the only reason I remember their names is, because they've actually kept in touch with me and whatnot, and they've gone and followed the channel and all that fun stuff. But had a great time with them, really enjoyed getting to experience the whole attraction with them. In fact, after we got off the bus ride, they realized I was alone, and they said, hey, you're welcome to come with us. And I was just like, okay, and I didn't have the heart to tell them I'd bought the speed pass, so I wasn't really that concerned or anything. And they're like, no, stay with us. We know you got the speed pass, but you're going to have more fun with a group. And so I was like, okay, fine, word. And so we all stuck together, and I spent the whole evening with them. We did that. We did the house together. We did the Hayride together, and even after the attraction, we tried to go and do some other haunted houses together, but we did not get to, unfortunately, just because things did not work out. It was very late by the end of it all, but we still had a good time. I personally really had a good time. They were really, really nice, and I'm so glad I got to hang out with them. So, shout out to y'all. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me, and we definitely have to do another haunted house sometime. I know the haunt season is coming to an end, so unfortunately, we're getting down to where there is no more houses to do, but we're going to still cram in a couple more. My official end to haunt season is the second week of November, so, we get at least 2 more weeks in after Halloween, in my opinion. And for me, horror, Halloween, haunted house, all that stuff, year-round for me. I don't limit it to one time. It's just really heavy at Halloween time. But so you ride this awesome bus ride, and like I said, this year it just wasn't so awesome. And other than that, everything was pretty much the same that we saw. We keep a very close eye out on all the scenery and things like that to see what has changed from the previous year. Now, we don't necessarily rate anything based upon that. We try not to dock them for things like that. But we do keep a very close eye on it. Because, like I said, everything is based merely on that one experience, that first experience. So we try not to incorporate anything from years past. But we do keep an eye on it. And sometimes it will slip through, and we will judge them based upon, did they change anything? And unfortunately for this one, it did not really appear that they changed anything at all. Like, everything was exactly the same as the year past. Nothing different or unique. So that was a little disappointing. So now let's break it down. So we're going to start with sets. So for the house, we gave them a 4 out of 5. And for the Hayride, we gave them a 3 out of 5. Leading to a total of 3.5 out of 5 screams. So the sets in both the house and the Hayride were actually pretty good. Inside the house, you actually entered this one scene where you were upstairs. So it's a 2-story house. And on the upstairs portion, you enter this scene that it looks like you've walked outside. There's this courtyard, there's this towering tree, and it's raining and all that, but it looks like you're actually outside. And then later on, you actually experience the same thing, but you're downstairs on the lower level. And it was like really cool to see how they pulled this effect up. And like I said, they had a tree that spanned the 2 stories. And that was really cool to me. I thought that's like a really innovative set thing that they did. And then they did some other cool set pieces and things like that. But there were some that weren't so good, some things that just were like, okay. But that particular set was the most memorable. It's the thing that resonates with me the most. Then on the Hayride, they had some pretty good sets out there too. Like, there was some really cool stuff, and we kind of get into some technical things here shortly when we talk about that. But there were a lot of cool sets. There was a Salem witch trial kind of set, and it had the noose and the hangman, the gallows, all that fun stuff. You went through a slaughterhouse at one point. You went through, like, up to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that sort of thing. Like, there were all sorts of things you went to, and they were really cool. But then there were some aspects of the outdoor portion, the Hayride, where I was a little disappointed. So if you've heard any of my other episodes, you know that me and black tarp, painter's tarp, do not mix in haunted houses. I'm a big stickler for that. I don't care what your haunted house is. I will, like, eviscerate you for that one. And this one, there was like a clown area, I think it was, where they used a bunch of black tarp on the walls, and those were the walls in the building that you went into. And I was like, really? That's the best you can do? Like, you have all these resources, and that's what you're going to create. That's what you're going to be known for, is black tarps on walls. So that was a little disappointing, and that's why I gave it a 3 out of 5. But, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. Up next, we have costumes, makeup, and special effects. So for the house, we gave them 1 out of 5, and for the Hayride, we gave them a 1 out of 5, giving a total of 1 out of 5 screams. The costumes and makeup were not anything special. It honestly was like your typical Walmart store-bought Halloween mask. And they did not do anything to incorporate it, make it look unique or different. Didn't try to create an original concept from it. Same thing that Scream Acres is guilty of, in fact. And because of this, I'm just like, I cannot in good conscience give them a good rating on this, because it's just not good. I mean, it's simply not good. You know, you've got clown masks, you've got some white face makeup. It's that whole thing again. I will say, there were a couple in there, but just not enough for me to overlook, you know, this. So, unfortunately, costumes, makeup, 1 out of 5 screams. Now, for technical effects, this is the redeeming moment for Creepy Hollow. I gave the house a 5 out of 5. I gave the Hayride a 5 out of 5. Why did I give the house a 5 out of 5? Well, they had great lighting effects. They had great sound effects. Everything played well together to create these great ambiances as you went through. And I hearkened back to the awesome courtyard scene where you have the tree in the middle of the courtyard. It looks like you're outside. Not only that, they made it so it was pouring down rain, and it looked like you were actually outside in a rainstorm. And on top of that, you had audio effects that had thunder clapping, and then strobe effects that made it look like it was lightning outside. It was beautiful. And then same thing when you get downstairs to the lower level, you see the same thing, and the water's actually sort of pooling down by the tree, so it looks like you are actually outside. You are actually in this courtyard. And I just cannot get over what an amazing scene that is, and how amazing that turned out. Because that truly, to me, is a testament to what you can do with some hard work and some really good effects. Like, that blew me away. It still blows me away. When I talk about it, I'm blown away by it. So, good on them for that. Then, on the Hayride, they had some really cool effects. Some really, like, super technical things, too. The lighting in each of the scenes played very well with the scene that you were in. The audio effects and sounds were really, really good with creating different ambiances as you went through. They had the grunge heavy metal music in a lot of the scenes out there, so things were like really hardcore, grungy, evil, like ready to go. Like, it was awesome. And then there were things like there was actual fire shooting up and things like that. There were sirens and explosions and this, boom, boom, all sorts of really, really neat things. There was this awesome fire effect at the gallows scene with the Salem witch trial scene sort of thing. where after she hung, the gallows sort of caught fire. And that was really cool how they did that. And then there was another scene. Oh, there was a scene where the trailer sort of stopped, and then this thing sort of came down. It was like a platform, literally came down over the trailer. And so you probably had, I don't know, a couple feet above your head, and there's this platform that the monsters could climb on, and they could reach down underneath you and go, ah, or not underneath you, but reach down and get in your face and dangle below. It was really cool, and the fact that this very technical effect worked to really create almost this feeling of entrapment for the people who were stuck underneath it. That was so incredible to me. Like, they did a really good job with the technical effects, and everything really played together to create some really cool moments. Then we have the scares, and this is where things go back downhill. So in the house, we gave them a 3 out of 5. On the Hayride, we gave them a 1 out of 5. Total of 2 out of 5 scares. So in the house, there was a couple moments where we actually got scared. People jumped out at us, actually got us. But they weren't that impressive. Like, it wasn't the type where we were, screaming every corner we went around. But it also wasn't one where we walked through completely blank face either. So it had its moments, and it was just sort of like right there in the middle, which is why we gave it a 3. Because it was like some moments were scary, some weren't. And it was hit or miss depending on, where you were. But then you go to the Hayride. And the Hayride was not scary. There was no scary moments. I just sort of sat there kind of blank-faced. Other people screamed a little bit, but nothing jumped out at me or scared me. Nothing was making me uncomfortable, was putting me on edge. Nothing like that. Honestly, the Hayride was just another sort of joke in terms of scariness. I just really don't think it was meant to be scary. Then we have the pacing. So the pacing for the house, I give it a 3 out of 5, and for the Hayride, I give it a 4 out of 5, leaving to a total of 3.5 out of 5 screams. So the length of the time it takes to go through the house and get through it is actually pretty nice. So it's not super, super long, but it's not super short either. You've got this 2-story building. You get to see a lot of things. There's a lot of room for different scenes and scenarios to go through. And then you get to go downstairs and you experience all that. Well, then once you go outside, you enter this other building that is actually an add-on. I learned this from one of the members of my group because she had been there. She'd gone to this attraction when she was back in middle school and has since come back, and she said this is added on from there. This wasn't there back then. And so I'm glad they added this building because it allows for more things to happen through the haunt. But I still feel like the house is a little bit shorter than I would prefer it to be. And I feel like if they can build that little ending building, they can build even more. They can extend the house portion. Because I feel like the house portion could be so much more. There's so much more room to play with. Because while there are plenty of scenarios of scenes that you get to go through, I think some of the rooms are like really, really big. And so it's really less scenes if you think about it because the rooms are so big. So I would like to see the house portion get extended. But then you get the Hayride, which is actually pretty lengthy. And you actually get through a lot of scenes in there. It says 7. I think it's 7. It might be 6. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that's a typo on our part or their part. I remember counting 6, but I could be wrong as well. But I would actually love it if the Hayride was a little bit longer too. Because you got all this land out there where they are. Surely they can add some more scenes out there, some more variety. Because I feel like there's room for so many things they could do. Like, my mind is racing with ideas of how they could do new scenes, new ideas. Because I'm sure there's more avenues to explore and different effects and whatnot that they can do. So I would just like to see the Hayride expanded upon. I know it's the original thing they started with, but even the original has to go somewhere. There's always a new version. And so I feel like they can create this new version and go somewhere with it. And that's what I'd like to see them do. I'd love to see them go somewhere with it. Finally, we have the actors and the team. So for the house, we gave them a 2 out of 5. For the Hayride, we gave them a 1 out of 5, giving us a total of 1.5 out of 5 screams. So the actors and team did not do a whole lot for us. Honestly, in the house, they weren't bad or anything, but there just wasn't really anybody in there that I really paid attention to, and nobody was really trying to scare us. Nobody seemed to be putting forth a whole lot of effort in there. So that was a little disappointing. There were some who, they got the scare from one person and they just sort of gave up and were done with. And then there was moments where we missed what we should have been getting a scare at, and we didn't get it because the actor, I guess, was slacking off or something. And, there were just moments where I feel the actors could have been a little bit more on point inside. And so, for that reason, that's why we gave them a 2 out of 5 there. But then the Hayride. Oh, the Hayride. So we've got an issue on the Hayride, and we had the same issue over at Scream Acres. On the Hayride, we had actors who broke character. One in a rather messed up, sort of really should not have done it way. And the other one was just, I'm going to chalk it up to a guy being stupid. So the first one that we found out was right after the Salem witch trial scene. Our thing was driving out, we were leaving, and what they tend to do at the end of each scene is they'll kind of follow the cart for a little bit, and then they'll stop as the cart keeps going. Well, the thing you have to understand about this area is the Salem witch trial scene is right next to the road that the bus comes flying down. Well, the bus was driving by, and usually you'll see it when you're on the Hayride. The bus comes down and it honks its horn. Well, apparently, the actors in the Salem witch trial scene thought it would be a great idea to flip off the bus driver and start yelling at him and saying, F you and things like that. They totally threw their character out the window and acted like a bunch of idiots. And I'm not going to say what they said because I really don't feel like having to go back and bleep it out, honestly. And just because it's not even worth repeating. But they were saying things that they really shouldn't have said, and it was loud enough that we could hear them, and I was just like, seriously? Seriously? Because, you leave that scene and you're like, oh, okay, time to catch our breath. Well, then you got these idiots acting like idiots. And takes away from everything. So that was very disappointing to me, and I really hope that somebody got them for that. If not, hey, I'm not going to be quiet about it, so I hope that this review is heard for that. Then, finally, we have another actor who I guess he thought he was going to be the suave, cheeky little boy, because he decided to flirt, I think. I don't know if he flirted or if the girl that was in my group. One of the two flirted with the other one, and I think she wanted to get his Snapchat. Well, this guy actually takes his mask off and is walking next to the thing, talking to the girl in my group. Breaks total character to talk to her and make sure she gets his snap or whatever. And it might not have been a snap, but he definitely broke character because I do remember it. Because I remember distinctly when we got to the end of it, she told me that happened. And I was like, thank you. Thank you for that. Because that was going in my review immediately when she told me that. So this guy broke character to flirt with a girl. I'm sorry. You're there on a job. As I have said before, as I said during the Scream Acres part, you are there on a job. Whether it's volunteer job or paid job, you are still there on a job. You don't flirt with the customers. That does not get tolerated anywhere. And if a customer flirts with you, you are not supposed to break character. I don't care if it's a damn supermodel talking to you. You don't break character. You stay in the game. If it's really that important, you find a way to talk to them afterwards. They invented this awesome thing called a cell phone. And the great thing about it is, the girl that was in our group and that guy lived in that same vicinity. They would have found each other. I cannot stand when actors will break their character. I am paying a finite amount of money to be scared and see you play a character. And it's like, basically the best way I can equate it is, how would you feel if you paid money at the theater, or if you went and paid money at the movies, and the actors in there just said, oh yeah, I'm not gonna act like that character anymore. I'm gonna break my character. It's the same thing, really. You cannot break character if you're gonna do this job. You absolutely can't. And I just cannot deal with that. That irks me so much. And his was, I get it, he's a boy. It's a harmless little thing. But then the group that was yelling things they shouldn't have and acting like a bunch of fools, that I do not tolerate. Seriously. And honestly, it's a wonder that they're getting as high of a rating as they are, because for that reason, I could have easily, docked some points on them and made it a whole lot worse. But I'm not going to do that. Like I said, we do this fair and honestly based on different aspects. So, may not 100% agree with certain things, but this is the fair way to do it. But they got to get that professionalism down, because that unprofessionalism does not fly, and it won't fly with me, I can promise you that. And as long as I'm running this show, I will be sure every haunted house that I go to, if I sniff out unprofessionalism, it's going to be brought to light. I'm sorry. That is my job. So, I really hope that they fix it, because I take that very, very seriously. So let's review. The set's got a 3.5 out of 5 screams. Costumes and makeup got a 1 out of 5. Technical effects got a 5. Scares got a 2 out of 5. Pacing got a 3.5 out of 5. And actors and team got a 1.5 out of 5. Leading to a grand total of, drumroll please, 3 screams, ladies and gentlemen. Kreepy Hollow is a 3-scream haunted house. So, this haunted house is not without sin, and this haunted house is not amazing either. It's sort of right there in the middle, has its flaws that need to be fixed, but then also has some really redeeming qualities about it. It's definitely one that I enjoyed last year, and I enjoyed it this year, maybe more so because I was with a group, and they made it more fun for me. They sort of took my mind a little bit off of the negatives that I was seeing, and I enjoyed my time with them. Emma, Abby, and respected boyfriends, thank y'all so much for joining me on that adventure. I hope y'all had fun. I know I did, and I hope we get to do it again. And thank you for being loyal listeners on the channel and becoming listeners and, hearing what I have to say. So thank you so much. I'm really glad that I got to meet y'all, and I wish you well. But yeah, so Kreepy Hollow, go check it out if you can. If you can't, well, you're sort of running out of time as it is. But they are going to be open until November 6th. So you have a little bit more time than you do Screammakers. Screammakers is done on Halloween. Kreepy Hollow is going to go through till next weekend. So this is coming out on October 30th, and you will have until November 6th. So you'll have October 30th, Halloween, and I think November 5th and 6th to go check this out one more time. I do recommend you go check it out. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you agree with us, disagree. Let us know what your experience is and how you felt about it. You can purchase tickets. General admission is $25, and that will get you the bus ride, house, and the hayride. The Fast Pass is $40, and that gets you the front of the line access to all 3. The hours on Friday and Saturdays are from 7:30 to 12:30, and Thursday and Sunday is 7:30 to 10:30. Be sure to go follow them on all their social media. They are on Facebook, Instagram, and they have a website as well. They're located at 1251 Joe Doherty Road, Bishopville, South Carolina, 29010. But that is going to do it for us today on episode 43 of the Terror Talks, where we talked about Screammakers and Kreepy Hollow. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. If you didn't like this episode, you can let us know. If you want to talk to us or let us know something about your trip, you can email us at theterrortalks@gmail.com, or you can send us a message directly on any one of our social medias. You know where to find us. You can listen to us on all of our listening platforms. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and a collection of other ones. If you want to give us a little bit of extra love, you can subscribe to our Patreon, or you can subscribe to any one of our 3 packages. Every subscription we get, that money goes directly into making more content, bettering the content we have, and finding ways to better the show as a whole. So we ask you to please, if you can, subscribe to that. And we also accept donations as well. There's a place for donations on our Anchor site, so you can send us donations however much you want, whether it's a penny, $1, $2, whatever it is, you name it, whatever you can afford, whatever you're willing to contribute. It helps us to put out more content and keep creating great things for you. But that is going to do it for us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode on Screen Makers and Kreepy Hollow. We hope that you'll go check them out before the season's over. Like I said, Screen Makers is done this weekend. Kreepy Hollow will go through till next weekend. So go check them both out if you can. But thank you guys so much for being a part of the show. You are really what makes it, and we cannot do it without you. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. But until next time, be safe out there. Don't text and drive. And be excellent to each other. We'll see you in the fog.